What's up, everybody? Welcome back to SoCaldramtram. I'm Matt.
And I'm Caesar.
And today, before we get into this review, we just want to say if you're new here, hey, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out. And if you're a return viewer, hey, we appreciate you sticking around. Nonetheless, everybody smash that like button, click the little bell, that way you know whenever we drop a brand new video. Caesar, what do we got on the bar today?
Today we got something from your bar.
That's right. Today we got an oldie but goldie. Today we got the Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Let's get into it. So, Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Caesar, we've drank this, we like it, but we're gonna go ahead and tell you a little bit about it. So, for over 200 years, the Buffalo Trace Distillery has been defined by dedication to one craft, making fine bourbon whiskey. By honoring tradition and embracing change, Buffalo Trace Distillery has earned its place of leadership among the legendary spirits makers of the world. The oldest continuously operating distillery in America also happens to have one of the largest families of homegrown brands in any industry. Led by the namesake and flagship brand, Buffalo Trace Bourbon, the line includes several brands, collections, and expressions that have earned some of the highest accolades the industry offers. From the Van Winkle collection to Benchmark, the Buffalo Trace Distillery family of brands is at once a tribute to tradition and thoughtful experimentation. Ancient buffalo carved paths through the wilderness that led American pioneers and explorers to new frontiers. One such trail led to the banks of the Kentucky River, where Buffalo Trace Distillery has been making bourbon whiskey the same way for more than 200 years. In tribute to the mighty buffalo and the rugged independent spirit of the pioneers who followed them, they created the signature Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Caesar, let's get into this bottle. What do you say, huh?
Let's get into it. And let me tell you what. A lot of good stuff has come from homegrown stuff. I've tried many homegrown. Some Jack Herrera, some OG. If it's homegrown and taken care of really well, it's always good.
It's weed, folks. It's weed for everybody who didn't know. And we live in California where that sort of thing's legal. But fun fact, well, you were telling your little fun story there. Buffalo Trace is associated with many different labels, right? I mean, you've got anything from Eagle Rare to E.H. Taylor, Blanton Single Barrel, William LaRue Weller, Sazerac, Rye, Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. Basically, they make a ton of expressions, right? They even make a vodka, as you might have seen in that sexy little B-roll. But fun little fact about this particular bottle. So when the, I think it was the Elmer T. Lee Distillery, if I remember correctly, but when they reopened the distillery as the Buffalo Trace Distillery back in 1999, basically a bunch of tourists were like, hey man, can we buy a bottle of Buffalo Trace whiskey? And unfortunately, they were met with an all-encompassing, no, we don't make that. And it wasn't until a PR manager somewhere went, guys, make a Buffalo Trace whiskey. And so it just kind of goes to show the difference between, you know, marketing and people who make stuff. Right? Yeah. But nonetheless, like I said before, we've definitely had this before. It's one of the staples on my bar. This is a liter bottle, if you couldn't tell on the other side of the camera. So I think that goes to show that we like it. And really what this kind of came from was When people ask me, they come up to me like, hey, I want to kind of try whiskey. I want to get into it. What do you recommend? This is almost always at the top of my list, or at least in the top 3 that I recommend. And they're like, oh, hey, do you have a review on it? And I'm like, no, we don't do Buffalo Trace. So we're a bit like the distillery.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say right now, dude.
But nonetheless, what are you expecting before we get too deep into it?
I'm expecting good stuff. Another good thing to note is that it's almost always available. It's almost always available. Like, you could go to a lot of places, a lot of bars, and if they don't have much, a lot of the times they'll have this, you know?
Yeah, I had always heard about Buffalo Trace, but I think the first time I ever actually had it was at a Korean barbecue.
At the Korean barbecue. I remember that day.
I remember
that day like it was yesterday.
I got like a 3-finger pour for like $6.
I remember that. I remember we were on like the second story. It was hot as hell. We were waiting for a table, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'll take some of that."
It's Korean barbecue, so it's always hot anyway. And then you get the meat sweats. Yeah, and it's just bad news. But it's so good. But fun little fact, like readily available for us. I will caveat by saying for us, because there are some places in the country that cannot get this. Like, for whatever reason, they cannot find this. And when they do, it's like stupid expensive. For a standard bottle, like regular 750, goes for about 22 bucks
like 30
out
bucks
here.
or something.
For a liter, I think it's 25. For a handle, it's like 35 bucks.
Not bad.
I can find this at Total Wine. I can find it at Target. Like, it's pretty readily available for us. But again, I know that there are people out there who are watching this right now going, I can't find Buffalo Trace anywhere. And I'm sorry, because there's definitely other expressions that we can't find out here that are from Buffalo Trace, or at least are a little bit harder to find. So there's the trade-off, you know? Mm-hmm. You can find Weller, we can find Buffalo Trace. I'd rather take the switch. But
yeah, I know, right? For real.
But nonetheless, we've yammered on a little bit long enough. Let's go ahead and get into the whiskey.
Enough yammering.
I'll tell you one thing. This one pairs really nicely in like baking. My wife makes a bourbon chocolate pecan pie. Ooh. And we use this in the recipe, and it's killer.
It's a 10-letter word. Words.
Just super vanilla.
Yeah.
Vanilla, caramel. Just jumps right out of the glass. Brown sugar.
Typical.
I mean, it's a bourbon, right? It's a straight bourbon whiskey, and so I mean, we're not going to be lighting the world on fire here. We're not even going to tap the top 100 category for Buffalo Trace, but hey, it's our turn to review it.
Yep.
Brown sugar and cherry, like that I often talk about, like if you kind of started caramelizing brown sugar and then just kind of rolled some cherries in that sauce, that's basically what I'm getting out of this.
So just like the nose, I do get the sweetness from the brown sugar, but the finish, I mean, the forefront is great, amazing, good, sweet. The finish, it kind of it takes the sweet away a little bit. I mean, given it's finishing, I get it, it's a finish, but it's taking it away more than I expect, like more than other bourbons I've had that are sweet and they go away. This is almost taken away and turned into something else. I don't know what it's turning into when it goes away, but it's not something in my palate that I think I really like. But at the forefront, the first sip, while it's in your mouth, it's actually really good, really nice and sweet. Yeah,
I mean, I would tend to agree with you on this one. Like, the finish isn't something that is like offensive, but it's not something that I'm like, ooh, that's really intriguing, right? But the front palate is just candy. Like, this is just like cherry Jolly Rancher candy. Like, it's really nice. Like, and if you're new to whiskey and you want to try something, this is very inoffensive. This is very just straight over home plate. Going to give you some familiar flavors, so you're not going to feel like out in the woods or anything like that. Everybody's pretty much had vanilla ice cream. Everybody's had some form of a cherry. You can get those out of this. But yeah, you're right. The finish is a little bit hot. I'm not going to say...
It's almost tangy. I think it's almost like tangy.
Tangy like sour, or tangy like
sour tangy.
Huh, interesting. I don't know if I'm getting a tangy sour note, but I will say that it's hot. Like, not even like proof hot, and not like spice pepper hot. It's just hot. Like, it's a warming feeling where I'm kind of like, ooh, like it's 1,000 degrees out today and I don't want to go outside, and that's kind of the feeling in my throat right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and put some water on it and kind of see what we get with it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I mean, I think did I mention it? I don't think I did, but I think this one's bottled at 45% alcohol, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 45.
Yeah, 45%. And like I said, for a liter bottle, you can get it for around $25, so good value that way. 25 to 30, depending on where you find it. But good value, get some more proof for the buck. That's always a nice thing. But let's see what it does with water. Like I said, in baking, it holds up quite nicely. Ooh, the water mellowed out the nose a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes it more like a subdued cherry, like it's just kind of underneath it. It's not so potent. It's like it smells the way creamier taste, if that makes sense.
That's accurate. Oh, that's better with water. At least for me.
It gets a little more intriguing with the water. Like, it opens up, but it doesn't really open up any, like, crazy new flavors. It just kind of... It brings those flavors to be a little bit more concentrate. Like, it gives you a little bit more of that cherry, gives you a little bit more of that vanilla. I'm now actually getting a little more orange peel on the finish, though, which I actually really appreciate in bourbon. But the water tones down that heat that I was talking about. So I actually really prefer this one with water.
I agree. The forefront's still the same, and then like the end of it, it almost makes you want to, like, you could ride down with it. Like without the water, if you have it, and at the end, it's like you don't want to ride with it. You're just like, all right, I just want to get off the horse right now, and I'm pretty much done with this. But with
hitting that little chain on the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's my stop.
I'm done here. I'm hopping off.
I would like to get off of the Dram tram.
But with the water, it's definitely like, hey, I could sail this out. I could sail this out until it's done. So it's actually enjoyable enough to like ride it out.
Weirdly enough, the finish goes longer with the water too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this one I would prefer with water.
So what are you thinking on a rating on this one? Again, 25 to 30 bucks for a liter bottle, so 22 for a standard.
So it's definitely
45% ABV.
Definitely a good value.
This is like not bottom shelf, but it's like middle shelf.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like
exactly.
It's right in that middle.
Which is exactly what I'm gonna rate it at. It's right in the middle. So I'm gonna rate it at 2.5. 2.5 out of 5.
You know we scale out of 5, right?
Yeah.
Middle would be 3.
Well,
I'm just teasing you.
No, I'm right. 2.5, because if you add another 2.5.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot we're doing halves now. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Math was never my strong suit unless it was going positively into my bank account.
I was like, wait a second.
Sorry, I totally messed up his groove.
I should have left it because, you know, like if we went halves on something next time, he would have given me a little bit more. So.
That's fair. No, I totally screwed it up. We've actually had to cut away a few times in this review. This is the first time we've shot in a few weeks, but that's okay. Hopefully, you'll never know. I'm inclined to agree with you in terms of like right in the middle, but I'm gonna go a little bit higher than you because I think
that halves is higher.
Halves is higher if you don't use halves. I think this is a gateway whiskey to bring you into that world. I think that this has done a lot of heavy lifting over the years for people, and who knows how many people have been converted to the world of whiskey because of this. So I'm going to kind of give it a little bit of like extra credit points here, and I'm actually going to give it a 3.5. I think the flavors are strong with it. I think the fact that it holds the water is nicely. I mean, we've had a lot of whiskeys that are 48, 50% that don't hold water nearly as good as this. So I think if it's one of those things, like if it's a mass-produced, get it on the shelf kind of a thing, like this is actually really solid. I have no complaints on it. I think the price point is right. I think the fact that, like I said, it's like a gateway whiskey, and I've recommended it to countless people who've come back going, that was really good. I think I got to give it a little bit of extra credit points for that. So I'm going to go 3.5 on this one from me. Well, go ahead.
Well, you know, I think you're right. That's a good way of putting it. Like if we're an uneducated person in the 1980s or 1990s, this would be like weed, the gateway drug. But now that we're educated, we know it's not really that much of a gateway drug. It's like, yeah, this is actually a gateway into better whiskeys. So
it's very true. It's like the dime bag that you get from your friend.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
You can join Caesar's other channel that doesn't exist yet. But nonetheless, folks, hey, do us a favor. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think of Buffalo Trace? We appreciate your thoughts down below. We love the conversation. Don't forget to hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We love interacting with you there. Until next time, Caesar, you got anything else you want to add?
Now, what about you, brother?
Stay safe and drink well, folks. All aboard. We'll catch you next time. Hey everybody, hope you liked that video.
Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications.
And don't forget to subscribe.